What's going on, everybody? Chip-eyed body here. As many of you know, I work in the human services field, which basically means that I take care of people. My job specifically entails going to the home of some individuals with intellectual disabilities. The three guys that I support, they don't have any sort of physical disability. It's all intellectual disability. And basically what I do is I help them throughout their day-to-day life. I'm the overnight guy, so I'm kind of there in case anything goes wrong. You know, I'm there to provide support and help out if one of them needs any kind of assistance with anything during the night. I'm there. You know, I've done this job for about 5 years now, and I really love it. It's the one job I've ever had that I can honestly say I feel like excuse me. Oh, I'm so hungry. But I feel like I've made a difference in people's lives in a positive way, and it's really misunderstood. And so I just want to take a little bit of time to kind of clear the air, some misconceptions that a lot of people have about people with intellectual disabilities that I just kind of want to take it out and clear up. So the first thing is that people with intellectual disabilities have nothing to contribute to society. I hear that so often, like, oh, those poor people, you know, I feel bad for them, but they're such a drag on our economy, they're such a drag on society. No, they're fucking not. People with intellectual disabilities have so much to offer the community at large. If you ever sit down and talk to a person with an intellectual disability, you will realize that they see the world in a completely different way than you do. I support a fellow, and you know, he's just diagnosed as mild MR, which basically means, or mild ID, mild MR, whatever you want to call it. I think that it's still technically called mild MR, which basically means mild mental retardation. And he doesn't really have any other diagnosis. So, you know, when you look at him, he looks just the same as anybody else you see out on the street, any other Joe Schmo, whatever. When you talk to him at first, you know, you may not even realize that he has an intellectual disability. And some people look at a guy like that and they're just like, oh, you know, he has more to contribute than this other guy who's in a wheelchair and can't talk. Well, that may not necessarily be true. This guy in particular that I'm talking about has a thing for children. And when I say has a thing for children, it means exactly what you fucking think it means. But this guy gave me so much insight into the mind of a diagnosed pedophile. And that's another thing. A mental illness is not the same as an intellectual disability. That's a misconception a lot of people have. Like schizophrenia, it's not an intellectual disability. It's a mental illness. There's a huge difference. But this guy is a diagnosed pedophile, which basically means that he has sexual thoughts about children that he may or may not be able to control. And I was talking to this guy, and the subject came up because, you know, I had just met him. I was going to be his supporter, and I was talking to him about it, and he was telling me, you know, and he was breaking down his history of things that he had done in the past and thoughts that he had had, and I was horrified. You know, I was just like, holy shit, you know, I'm talking to a fucking pervert. And as he continued talking, he just started crying. He just broke down and he was fucking bawling. And he was just like, man, I don't know why I'm this way. I don't want to be this way. You know, I hate myself for being this way. He knows that the thoughts that he has are not those of like a healthy human being's brain. He knows this. He understands it. He comprehends that. Can you imagine how fucking terrifying that must be? How horrible it must be to go through your life every single fucking day and know that if you see a child, you're gonna have weird thoughts about it, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. You can't change, you can't switch it off, you can't change the subject in your head, you can't flip a channel. The only fucking alternative that you have is to be so doped up on fucking Prozac and Zoloft and whatever the fuck else they give these people that you can't think of anything. Can you imagine? But he's the happiest motherfucker I've ever met. Nothing gets this guy down except when he talks about his own problems, and not how they affect him, but how they affect other people. He had an encounter with a child once, a physical encounter. It didn't go to the point of like sexual abuse, but it was on the border. And this child, you know, he hasn't had any contact with this child since, but he feels such remorse and such guilt for what he put her and her family through at that time. And this was like 20 years ago, and this guy's still carrying around the weight of this guilt on his shoulders because he can't forgive himself for putting her through that sort of trauma. And he did, you know, it didn't even, like I said, it didn't even go to as far as like physical sexual assault. It was all verbal, and it was all like innuendo. So can you imagine having to live with that and not being able to forgive yourself for that? But I mean, realizing at the same time that there was nothing you could do about it. You can't control these thoughts. Can you imagine that? No, you fucking can't. And that's the kind of people that I support. Those are the kinds of people that I support. I support those with mental illness, and I support those with intellectual disabilities, because a lot of times they go hand in hand. So, another guy that I used to support, in a wheelchair most of his life. When I talked to him, he told me once, you know, I'm the reason that these places have wheelchair ramps. And I thought he was joking. I was like, oh yeah, you sure are, man. I was like, they see you coming in like, oh man, that's a motherfucker, we gotta put that ram down, he's gonna kick our ass. And he's like, no, I'm serious. And he pulls out a newspaper clipping that he had in his wallet, and he hands it to me. And it was a story about how he had sued the state of Ohio, and he had basically spearheaded the creation of the Ohio Disabilities Act, or Persons with Disabilities Act. He literally was the reason that these places had wheelchair ramps and handrails and handicap accessible doors. He was literally the reason. That was all him and his lawyer, but he started it. He got it moving. And he testified in court and everything. So, I mean, when you say that people with intellectual and physical disabilities have nothing to contribute to society, fuck you. Go get educated. Seriously. They have so much to offer. If you ever have the time, go volunteer at a... well, anywhere, really. It could be at a nursing home, because they throw people with intellectual and physical disabilities at nursing homes all the fucking time. Because everybody thinks, oh, if they're useless, we'll just lump them all together. And that's another thing. People think that all people with intellectual and physical disabilities think and act the same way. Not true. Completely not true. They are just as individualized as you and I, because that's who they are. They are you and I. You are one bad fall away from being intellectually disabled. Think about that. You are one motorcycle accident away from being a paraplegic, a quadriplegic, someone with a brain injury where you can no longer fend for yourself in this world. And you're going to need somebody to take care of you. You're going to need somebody who has your best interests at heart to look up and say, no, this isn't right. We shouldn't be lumping these people together and putting them in fucking programs that treat them as if they're 2-year-olds. You know, we need something better. We need something more individualized. And people need to stop treating them like they don't matter. I know this is a little preachy, guys, but I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm really not, because I feel very strongly about this. I have another video where I talk about something, you know, about this similar topic, where people just think that and a person with intellectual disabilities just has like no fucking rights, and that you can just say or do whatever the fuck you want to and around them, and they can't do anything about it. That is completely untrue. So, you know, the next time you see or hear about somebody with intellectual disabilities, and the first thing you think is about wiping asses and changing diapers and people who have nothing to contribute to society, check yourself and think of Chip. Think of Chip, good old Chip Hardbody, and what I have to say. And what I have to say is this: everyone matters. Everyone has something to contribute to the world. You just got to take the fucking time to listen. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you're having a real nice fucking day. I'll catch you next time. This is Chip Hardbody saying peace.